The IDF is conducting a huge two-division exercise in Judea and Samaria in what was described by the army as an unprecedented drill for operation readiness on the Eastern Front. Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir visited the exercise involving the Judea and Samaria Division and the Gilad Brigade, accompanied by Central Command Chief Avi Bluth. During the visit, he held a situational brief with field commanders and underscored the importance of operational readiness. Zamir said the exercise is the first of its kind in the IDF. It tests the new Eastern Division, established as a lesson from the war. One of the lessons from October 7th is that responsibility for defense and Israel's security concept must change. The IDF will prevent threats while they are forming. Zamir said we must act to neutralize the threat before it reaches our doorstep. We will reinforce forces when needed to continue disrupting terror and prevent the next attack. The IDF chief also condemned recent violent incidents in which extremist Israeli civilians attacked Palestinians. A video from a recent attack on an industrial zone near the village of Beit Lid shows dozens of settlers setting vehicles on fire. Secretary of State Marco Rubio expressed an American concern regarding clashes between settlers and Palestinians in the West Bank. Joining me now to speak about Judea and Samaria is Yishai Fleischer, spokesperson for the Jewish community of Hebron. Thank you, Yishai.
Thank you.
Yishai, I want to begin with security in Judea and Samaria. The IDF just carried out its largest exercise in the West Bank, simulating mass-scale attacks and infiltration attempts. What does this tell us about Israel's new operational mindset since October 7th?
I think it tells us more about the jihadist mindset. I think that the army is actually concerned about towns like the one I'm in right now in Judea being taken over by so-called Palestinian jihadis. And a kind of breakout out of their nearby towns and takeover of our town. And that is what the army is concerned about. And so they have this Eastern Division, they have this big drills, and they're practicing a situation where there's a breakout from an Arab village. They go, with their Toyota trucks that we saw on October 7th and take over a Jewish town and start mass killing or start holding it back from the army. And so that is the reality of life in Judea and Samaria, where you have jihadism, the kind that took over in Gaza before October 7th and then broke out on October 7th. That reality exists out here as well. And the army's concerned.
Yishai, you can hear me? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you great.
Okay, it cut out for just a moment. Okay, keep going. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said that Jews living in Judea and Samaria face a reality where there's Arab villages that have succumbed to the ideology of jihadism, and that same jihadism is what we faced on October the 7th. So we've given away a chunk of land in Gaza. It became jihadist, and then they attacked us from it. That's exactly the scenario which the army is concerned about that could come out of Arab villages in Judea and Samaria. And so the army is prepared for that, or more prepared for that than it used to be in the past. The concept now is more operational readiness for such an eventuality. And also the towns have their rapid response teams and are ready to push back such an incursion.
And how does it make you feel that the IDF is now adapting its strategy to match emerging threats from Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and even Iranian-backed networks in this region of Judea and Samaria?
Well, I can't say that we're totally satisfied because we still have jihadism prevalent. We have Palestinian Authority school books. We have money flowing in from Europe. We have jihadism that is backed by Turkey, by Qatar, by Iran, and it's all in the heartland of Israel, in the kind of what I call the heartland of the Holy Land in Judea and Samaria, what people out there call the West Bank, which is really the where the stories of the Jewish people, the foundations of our history, are found. And so the army's getting more prepared for it. Good. But we should not have jihadism in our borders or on our borders. And we're not doing enough to get rid of those elements. We're doing a lot to defend if such an incursion happens, but not enough to preemptively get rid of that stuff so it's not there. I mean, like, what would have been better? Would have been better to be ready for October 7th or to make sure that it would have never happened in the first place. I think the latter is a better option. And so Jews in Judea and Samaria live with the reality that our next door neighbors have guns and ideology to destroy Israel. And we believe that that should be taken care of.
Well, so you mentioned, but some analysts warn that Gaza-style attacks could be attempted in the West Bank. How realistic is that scenario in your opinion? Could you foresee another October 7th on this front?
Absolutely. Why not? Why wouldn't I see it? What's the reason not to see it? They have the ideology. They have the guns. Put those things together, and they have, a sense of international backing as well. When Israel's delegitimized, when the rights of Jews living in Judea and Samaria is delegitimized, and then you have jihadist forces who look at that, they see that the West is coddling them, and they have the guns that got snuck in through drones, through Bedouin smuggling, and so they have the ideology, the arms, the backing. And the state of Israel has done a lot. And there was a huge operation right now in Bethlehem. They took illegal weapons and they stopped a 50-person team that was going to shoot at Israeli civilians. But where there's smoke, there's fire. That's the ideology there. And they have the guns. They have the wherewithal. And we have not done enough. Israel has not done enough to destroy the elements that want to destroy us.
In parallel, the U.S., the EU, the UN have all raised concerns about settler-perpetrated violence. What are your thoughts on this?
Not just the EU and the UN, but also governors of Judea and Samaria all issued a statement yesterday saying, Yossi Dagan and Israel Gantz and others all came out with statements saying that we are 100% against illegal violence. We're against vigilante activity, and that should be stopped. And the mayors have called on the police to take this very seriously. And the fact is the police is taking it seriously, and so is the army. And so we're against vigilante violence, period. However, and this is not to justify, it's just to understand that when you have a tense situation in Judea and Samaria where Jews living in these parts feel that their neighbors are any minute going to attack them the way they did on October 7th, and that, as I said before, they have the wherewithal and the ideology, well, that causes tensions to flash. And that's, again, not condoning that at all, and not at all. We are against illegal violence. Right. But to understand where it comes from is important because we have a much bigger enemy than that settler violence. The much bigger enemy is the jihad that's only waiting to strike and strike us again as on October 7th, this time close to Jerusalem.
And on a different note, this Shabbat, around 40,000 people are expected in Hebron for the Chayei Sarah celebrations. What does this annual pilgrimage represent historically, spiritually for Israelis?
Well, I'm very excited. In fact, I'm doing this interview and then I got to get going, get to Hebron. That's where I work, and we read a Torah portion that talks about the purchase of the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs by Abraham 3,800 years ago. And this Torah portion, which is read by the Jewish people throughout the world, remembers that great event of the purchase and the place that would become the tomb of Abraham and Sarah, Isaac, Rebekah, Jacob, and Leah. And so we have 45,000 people coming to Hebron to hear that Torah portion of the purchase of this plot of land in the place. And it's really what I call Woodstock meets the Bible, right? Woodstock meets the Bible. It's this like amazing festival of identity, of history, of peoplehood, of belonging to a place, of indigeneity. And so it's an awesome, awesome celebration. And a lot of people come. There's going to be many Knesset members, ministers, people from abroad. The Hebron Fund brings a lot of people from abroad. So it's an amazing thing. And remember, this is Hebron, the heart of Judea and Samaria, the heart of the conflict. And yet people are coming unafraid to connect to the story of the Jewish people.
Sounds very special. Yishai Fleischer, thank you very much.
Thank you.